Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, and a special welcome to Spotify listeners. That's right, you can now listen to this podcast on Spotify, which is something I'm incredibly proud of because it's currently invite only. So our tech community that we've created here is quite privileged to be on the platform. So we are now on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio and Stitcher. So there's currently nowhere to hide from the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. But on with today's show. Now, one of the reasons I love doing this show is to hear and share stories from all over the world. Now, Marco DeMello is an internationally recognised security and privacy expert with over 20 years of experience protecting desktop and mobile devices from threats. And he also spent 15 years at Microsoft and was responsible for a variety of projects, including the company's Hotmail acquisition. But the fact that he has raised more than $90 million to create a profitable mobile security company that went on to achieve 130 million app downloads and provided digital security solutions to consumers in Latin America, only to expand and deliver those products globally, is nothing short of inspirational. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with Marco DeMello, who's going to tell us all about his story and his security solution called Defender. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks for having me, Neil. My name is Marco DeMello. I'm the CEO and founder of PSafe, a security and privacy company for mobile phones, based in our headquarters in San Francisco, California, with our operational facilities in Brazil, in Latin America.
Fantastic. Now, you are internationally recognised as a security and privacy expert with more than 20 years of experience protecting desktop and mobile devices from threats. And I think I should also point out that you spent 15 years at Microsoft. But I've got to ask, what were the most significant lessons that you learned from your time there? And also, how do you think it helped you launch your own company?
Well, yes, it was a very humbling and incredibly formative experience, no doubt. I worked directly with Bill Gates on 3 separate occasions, the first of which was the acquisition of Hotmail and the later transferring of Hotmail to Redmond, the headquarters location of Microsoft in the Washington state. And running Hotmail for the 3 years subsequent to the acquisition in February 1997 gave me a very intimate and sort of direct relationship and experience, both with the end user side of scaling an internet-wide and internet-scale operation, and as well as the sort of server-side cloud aspects of running that at that massive scale with sufficient security and privacy to guarantee adoption from those end users and their appreciation and retention, obviously. And I'm happy to say that to this date, Hotmail remains the #1 web email or internet mail free service in the world in number of users and usage, and still the most secure and most private. And I'm very proud of that.
Absolutely, too right. But here we are now. I'm very conscious that we don't want to talk too much about your past and we're looking towards the future. So can I ask you to tell me a little bit more about the inspiration for launching PSafe? I mean, did you discover a problem that you knew you could fix, or did you just need to scratch that itch and follow your own path?
Well, it is a definitely observation of an opportunity and a changing of what the internet was becoming, both from a point of view of end user adoption and from the point of view of the threat landscape. So in 2010, I was basically, just completing a transaction of selling a technology that I had developed here in the United States after Microsoft, and I raised the capital to then move to Brazil and found PSafe, this company that today I'm running here from San Francisco. And the sort of the genesis and the idea originally was watching and observing how users were transitioning from buying computers to put on a desktop, from buying mobile phones directly, and how the internet was becoming a sort of like 24-hour connected experience for end users, and almost a dependency on our daily lives of everyone around the world. And the opportunity to build a company from scratch in Brazil and sort of scale in Latin America that company together with the user base while that user base was learning with us about how to protect the mobile phones, was a pretty unique opportunity. We sort of grasped onto that. I moved back to Brazil. I am Brazilian born and raised, so I moved back to Brazil in 2011 to launch the company. And we quickly built the technology on the cloud and scaled all the server-side operations. And in 2013, we then built our mobile application that today is the #1 consumer security and privacy app in the Americas.
For good reason as well. I mean, I believe you've raised more than $90 million to create that profitable mobile security company with more than 130 million app downloads, which is just phenomenal. And that on its own is an incredible achievement. So for anyone listening that's on their own startup journey, is there any advice that you could offer?
Well, first and foremost, if you believe you have a dream and a conviction about technology that you feel is going to add tremendous value or be sufficiently disruptive to an existing industry or economic vertical, go for it and pursue it and fight for it. But make sure that you understand that a startup is not a lottery, number one. Most people think about starting a technology company as a golden lottery ticket. That's a fallacy. Number two, understand that you will make more mistakes than you can count, and it's a very bumpy road, an extremely difficult bumpy road for most successful entrepreneurs, and let alone the ones who failed. And so it's very humbling, but it's incredibly rewarding. So if you want to start a business in technology, I think there's hardly a better time than now. The way in the advances and speed of advances in technology have made it so much easier. I look today to entrepreneurs with a degree of envy, because back when I started, even only 7 years ago, it was incredibly harder, much harder than it is today. And it's getting, progressively easier from the point of view of having so many facilities in the cloud today at your disposal, from servers to computation to artificial intelligence, and access to capital is right now in many ways more plentiful than ever if you have a business model that makes sense. So I would say go for it. My advice is go for it, but do your homework. Understand whether your idea can be made into a product or service that actually has real demand from real people, be it companies or consumers.
Excellent. Now, like I mentioned a few moments ago, PSafe's flagship product has been downloaded more than 130 million times and delivers security protection and a mobile performance boost to Android devices that is rated by AV tests as one of the best Android security products in the whole world. But for anyone listening that's new to your product, can you offer an overview of exactly what it is and also what makes it unique from any other solutions out there?
For sure. Thanks for that opportunity. So PSafe Defender is an application that you can download today from your Google Play store on your Android phones. We're not yet available on iOS due to iOS store policies, but we're working on iPhone products for next year as well. However, for now, you can download PSafe Defender from Google Play for an Android phone. And what it does is that it installs on your phone a complete endpoint security system and privacy and optimization suite. So it allows you to maintain your phone secure and your data private 24/7. And the reason why this is very important is in today's world, it is impossible for a biological brain to defend against a cybernetic attack. It is just not a fair fight. You cannot win that fight, no matter how good you think you are, or how smart or careful you think you are. So you really need an assistant, a help, an agent that is at your phone, being your protector 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what Defender value proposition ultimately is to be your, sort of security and privacy agent present on your phone 24/7, and it's completely free, which is the other most attractive aspect of the proposition. Here we are advertiser supported, meaning our sponsors pay the bill or our users get all the benefit.
So I've also got to ask, do you think the average user that's sat there with an Android phone, do you think they ever stop to think that security on their phone is just as important, if not more important, than on their home laptop? And if so, how do you get that message out there and educate people and make them aware of this product?
The good news is that more and more people are becoming aware of the risks and threats onto their mobile phones, and the fact that mobile phones today are in many ways just as powerful as a desktop computer, and certainly much more powerful than computers were, say, 10 years ago, just a mobile phone today. So The threats are very, very real. They are constant. They are growing in scope and in damage and in consequences on a daily basis. To give you an idea, we block over 1 million attacks per day today, every single day, approaching 1.2 million attacks per day. And it's always a peak during this time of year because of holiday season and Black Friday and everything else. So, the good news is people are becoming more aware. The bad news is still many more people are unaware than those who are aware. And so one of the most efforts that we do, the biggest efforts we do, and certainly I do as a CEO, is this outreach and education, bringing this information completely free to users the world over about how critically important it is to stay safe, to have good practices on your phone regarding your security and your data and your privacy, but most important, to have an agent installed on your phone like PSafe Defender, keeping you safe. So this educational work, it's an outreach effort with the media, with folks like yourself, with printed press, with websites, our own blog. We maintain and run a 24/7 educational blog around security in 3 separate languages. And so all of these efforts are combining, if you will, including with partners that work with us as well, to bring more awareness and more clarity around, and also a sense of urgency to people to understand you really are exposed. You really are at risk. Your data is actually at risk. If you look at the Equifax breach that just happened here in the United States, where 140 million accounts of consumer data, including their entire credit history, leaked, this is just the tip of the iceberg. What's going to happen as a result of this leak is unknown, and it's only beginning now. So definitely the threat is real, the danger is real, and people need to stay aware and need to stay safe.
Now, one of the things I love about doing this show is actually hearing about tech startup scenes all over the world, and not just the US. Now, recently I've been fortunate to speak with people in Estonia, Scandinavia, China, India, Australia. But you're my first startup that originated in Latin America. So can you tell me more about running a startup in Latin America? And also, is there a thriving startup scene emerging over there too?
I'll answer your question first and first second. So yes, there is a thriving scene now growing, and It's growing very, very fast in many, many different sectors. And Latin America is becoming another sort of major hub. I think the world is in many ways hyper-connected, and so LATAM is no exception. And also the fact that there's been so much growth in terms of device adoption, internet adoption all over LATAM. It's made Latin America very, very attractive, and also gave entrepreneurs an opportunity to build valuable and thriving businesses. PSafe is an example of that. And so what it looks like to build a business in Latin America is very, very different. It's different from the point of view of the bureaucracy and sort of politics to navigate and all the rules and regulations and the costs of starting a company in countries like Brazil or Argentina. It's different in Chile. I think Chile in many ways is the most developed ecosystem for startups in all of Latin America, Brazil being close to that or in second place. But in terms of the facilities and the simplicity of building a company, in terms of access to capital, I'll place Brazil first. I think Brazil is the biggest country in Latin America, and certainly the biggest ecosystem for startups today. However, it's still a lot to do there. A lot needs to change in terms of bureaucracy and the difficulty for entrepreneurs to start a company, get a bank account for their business. Things that are taken for granted in developed nations become big hassles and major hurdles in developing countries. However, once you go through those hurdles, it's extremely rewarding because you do get access to a user base that's much more tolerant and much more appreciative of the services you're offering, much more willing to work with you as you stumble and make mistakes and you recover and fix them. So there's that aspect of it, which is really, really attractive. And also you can't ever discount the fact that your labor, so your talent that you can hire in Latin America is going to cost you a fraction of the same labor fees you would have in US or in the Bay Area, for example, or in UK. And yet you get tremendous quality of engineering talent. So there's also that big benefit. It's the reason why every single engineer that works for PSafe is in Brazil.
Fantastic. Well, I suppose one thing that we can say now is that we're all living in a digital mobile first world. So what kind of threats are you seeing on these mobile devices? And are these threats increasing in sophistication, are you finding now too?
For sure. The threats range from financial attacks to privacy attacks to, as you know, ransomware to hijack your phone, encrypt your files, and require you to pay ransom to unlock your phone, to credit card theft, debit card theft, industrial espionage, compromising of your phone through family members to be able to hack into your business. The level of sophistication of attacks today is really mind-boggling, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So we see a gamut of different attacks surfacing almost on a daily basis. They're morphing right in front of our eyes, and every month the battle gets uglier and uglier. So for sure, we see this running the gamut from politically motivated to financially motivated to just basically wreaking havoc for the fun of it. So it ranges from all sorts of different motivations. However, the thing that gets me the most concerned is the fact that the organized crime, mafias all over the world have moved to the dark web and they have moved to mobile attacks. So what you're seeing now is a level of sophistication on social engineering attacks that get to you via your social media applications, be it Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or even your SMS and whatever, that get links into you in a very, very convincing and sort of urgency generating fashion that you just feel like you have to click on that link. And once you do, you're basically infected and you're compromised. And so these social engineering attacks are becoming the main or sort of the number one sort of attack vector, extremely efficient for organized crimes and individual hackers all over the world. And so that's an area where we differentiate ourselves, I think, from any other security provider for end users, the fact that we have the most advanced artificial intelligence system for predicting, detecting, and blocking social engineering attacks in the world. Absolutely, by far, and that's where we invest. The vast majority of our intellectual property today in growth is in this AI system that helps you help us predict, and then maintain our users secure from these social engineering attacks.
So if anyone is listening wanting to try Defender, I mean, can you talk them through exactly how they download it, what to expect once they've got it on their phone, and how to get the most out of that platform?
Pretty simple. Just go to Google Play and type Defender, DFNDR. That's it. And then you find PSafe Defender, then you hit install, and the rest is very intuitive and very self-explanatory on the screen. It'll walk you through a security scanner of your phone. It'll walk you through enabling privacy features, and then it'll monitor the performance of your phone as a bonus to maintain it very clean, very fast, and very performant. Who has never felt their phone was getting slower, right, over time? So we actually resolve those issues as well from a performance point and optimization point of view, in addition to your security and privacy. So it's a very simple one-button click download from the Google Play Store. Defender, DFNDR, is the key for the product name from PSafe. It's completely free. It's advertiser supported. If you don't like advertising, you can turn that off by paying a very low cost yearly subscription fee. Both options are on the table. But just to try the products is completely free. And if you want to keep it free and you don't mind advertising, it's completely free for you forever.
I was just about to ask there if it slows the phone down, because that's the one thing that puts people off installing these things on their phone. But it sounds like from what you were saying there that the problems they've already got that are slow with their phone, that it will actually go and fix. Is that right?
That's right. It's meant to speed up your phone, and it does speed up your phone substantially, as much as, sometimes 200%, depending on the model and age of your phone and how much memory you have already wasted and locked away by bad app behavior. So it ranges from a percentage-wise number, but it does improve the performance of your phone noticeably by having a product installed, in addition to maintaining your security and privacy.
Now, like we said a few moments ago, threats are increasing in sophistication every day, every week of the year, and the battle to stop it gets uglier and uglier. So how do you see Defender evolving and keeping up with that over the next few years?
Well, we will continue to double down on our strategy of investing in AI and expanding our AI system. We're adding more and more talent and people into our team, both in the U.S. and in Brazil. We also partner with government agencies all over the world and with other private sector companies on our fight against organized crime in the dark web and on mobile phones. We share intelligence through very secure channels whereby although we may sometimes compete in the marketplace, we partner in terms of security and detection, because it is not a fight a single company can win, or a single government. So you rest assured that there is a coalition of companies and governments working together to improve the detection and the prevention and the blockage of these attacks on a daily basis, because otherwise, you will be living in a very different world already.
Well, a huge thanks for coming on today. But before I do let you go, can I ask you to point the listeners in the direction of your website, social channels, and also how they can reach out and contact a member of your team if they've just got any additional questions about what we've talked about today?
For sure. If you go to www.psafe.com, there is the letter P in the word safe. So Peter and the word safe together.com. You will find all the information about our products and links to our blog, links to our team, where you can actually reach out to us. It's all within our institutional site. Obviously, if you want to install our app, it's as easy as going to Google Play Store and type Defender, or searching PSafe as well. You'll find either way. But on our site, there's all the information you may need from our company.
Well, I think so many times it feels like that we take our online security for granted, and also the speed of our devices for granted. I don't know anyone listening that's got a slow device. It quickly frustrates the hell out of you. So any platform that will actually protect consumers to safely connect, share, play, express themselves, and also explore online on a device that isn't going to slow down, has got to be a big, big win. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing your story today.
Thanks so much, Neil, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
What a fantastic story there, to go from 15 years at Microsoft, responsible for a variety of projects, including the company's Hotmail acquisition, restructuring the entire Windows security infrastructure, and the development of Exchange Server in 2007, to completely rocking and dominating the startup scene in Latin America with $90 million funding, all to create a profitable mobile security company that has gone on to achieve over 130 million app downloads. And as my friend Sam always tells me, dream big or go home, to which I tell him, but I am at home. Seriously though, I was fascinated to hear about this thriving tech startup scene in Latin America. Predictably, Brazil is leading that charge, but I'd love to hear more about Chile's magical startup scene too. So if there is anybody out there listening in Chile and would like to talk to me about this, please get in touch by emailing me at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, because I'm really keen to get a story on here about that magical startup scene in Chile. But that's it for this episode. I hope my friends listening in the US have enjoyed a fantastic Thanksgiving, and that the rest of you have not been suckered into the whole Black Friday sale thing, buying things you don't need, or been seen on the national TV news wrestling a 50-inch TV from a small child or an elderly lady. Hopefully none of you guys are like that, but I will be back tomorrow with another great guest. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.